Okay, in the name of Lord Jesus Christ, we shall continue to study from Ecclesiastes. So for this class, I will need you to read ahead of time. So for NYTS, we do not take it slow, trying to tell you what's going on. Wait for you to catch up. We don't. In NYTS classes, you are expected to read the book already. I think that from the letter that we sent to you, you are requested to read before you come here. That in here, once again, I'm going to ask you that if you have not yet read through the book of Ecclesiastes, I do need you to find your time, and read it first, because I'm not going to wait for you. So number one, I assume you read it. I'm going to make that assumption. I don't care if you read it or not. I'm going to make that assumption anyway. Okay. So number one, I'm going to assume that every one of you read the book already. Number two, because there are a lot that we could have talked about in the book of Ecclesiastes. So it is impossible to cover everything in detail. So I won't be doing that. So I will be touching upon certain parts in the chapter, probably not thoroughly, not entirely. So no, we won't be able to cover all the details of every chapter in the book of Ecclesiastes. Number three, because the natural of the book of Ecclesiastes, there will be a lot of repetitive teaching. Just to let you, to bring to your awareness that because the book of Ecclesiastes is very much like the voice of lament, or the memory of remorse of King Solomon. You will find in this book that you will find King Solomon constantly regret for the past. Because as we mentioned in the morning, we did mention in the morning that this is not a book of repentance, but this is more like a book of warning. That King Solomon say to the younger generation, say to the generation after him, and say to them that what you want, I got it already. What you like to try, I tried it already. What you wish to obtain, I got them all. And let me tell you, it's not so bad, but there is how much that it can satisfy you. Okay? So basically, King Solomon was using his life experience to use that as a warning for the following generation, for the future generation, telling them that, hey, let me tell you, I tried that. It's not as good as you think. Hey, let me tell you, I tried that. It's not as valuable as you deem. Okay? So that's the concept. That's why you find in the book of Ecclesiastes, you find in the book of Ecclesiastes, a lot of times you find repetitive concepts. Okay? Because as we said, this book, he was basically relive, or he go back to what he went through in his life. And then as he was thinking about the past, and then there were a lot of mistakes that he wished he could have done differently, but he couldn't. Okay? So that's why you will find in the book of Ecclesiastes, you find a lot of repetitive concept or repetitive regrets of his life. Okay, so in the morning, we conclude with the structure. It is not very easy to form structure for the book of Ecclesiastes. It's not easy. I read through many different reference books. Some from our church, some from other denominations, written by different people. And then I realized that they all have different structure, different pattern, different structure. So I am not going to give you some very solid. It's not easy to give you any solid structure. I actually found one author that for the structure, he came up with 12 points. I was like, no, you don't do 12-point structure. Usually you have like 3, 4 that you categorize the chapter. Right now, he came up with one structure per chapter. So every chapter is a structure itself. So when you have many structure, it means that you have no structure. Okay? So it's not easy to come up with something more universal in terms of the Ecclesiastes. Okay? So I can only give you a simple pattern that what it try to cover within certain chapters. Okay? So we mentioned in the morning from chapter 1 to chapter 6. Okay? From chapter 1 to chapter 6, it focuses more about what is the meaning of all this. Vanity. So basically, from chapter 1 to chapter 6, is trying to tell you that life is so empty. Life is so boring. What is the point to be alive? What is the meaning of living in this world? Okay? So from chapter 1 to chapter 6, it constantly repeats itself, circulate around the concept of meaningless. Meaningless. They cannot. He was unable to find what is the point of all this. Okay? So that's from chapter 1 to chapter. Basically, that's also the two major two major emphasis. Something that King Solomon emphasized a lot. That's also the reason that he feels that his life is nothing. Number one is he was unable to find meaning. So as we said, for the first part, if you want to find a key word, vanity probably explain the first major argument or the first major concept that Solomon tried to convey to the younger generation. Okay, vanity. So as we mentioned, the word vanity appears 37 times. Of course, some references say 38, 37, 38, because there are a few words that you could count them, you don't have to count them. Different roots. Doesn't matter. It's around here. Okay, around 37, 38 times that the word vanity were in use. Okay, and then the second part from 7 to 12, basically it addressed the second problem that Ecclesiastes brought up, the book of Ecclesiastes brought up. Number one is they cannot find meaning of doing things. Like, what's the meaning of all this? The second problem is, like it or not, death is inevitable. Everybody die. Okay? It's like the floating of water with no return. Okay? So stream. Doesn't matter. It's like a floating of no return. Like everything ends. Everybody die. Death. The problem is death. Everybody die. So, well, shouldn't use it. So that's why in the second concept, it brought up another commonly repeated phrase, which is under the sun. Okay? Under the sun, but what does that mean? When this phrase was repeated about 29 times in the book of Ecclesiastes, it was constantly used, under the sun, under the sun, under the sun. But please do remember, itself, it gives you a more negative concept. Give you something more negative. Okay, so vanity is negative, but in here, under the sun itself, there is no any negativity connotation. It's neutral. Okay? Under the sun is neutral because you find in the book of Ecclesiastes, they are positive and they are negative statements, both related to under the sun. So under the sun itself is neutral, but the idea of under the sun is that within the limitation of time frame, human time frame, history, or shall we say, time slipped through your finger. Like it or not, you just lost another 3 seconds of your life. And that 3 seconds, you can never, ever gain it back. Okay? So as we say that the idea, the concept of under the sun is not telling you that this is good, this is bad. It just tells you that this is the inevitable fate of every living being. Everything perish. Okay? So it becomes a big problem if you are unable to find, that right now you are under the sun means that you are bounded by time and space. Okay? Like human history. Human history, we are bounded by time and space. By time and space. Every second pass, you are 1 second closer to you die. We all know that, right? Right? Even you are only you are so young. Okay? But there is an end. There is this particular point, this minute, this second that you will die. I will die. I don't know. You don't know when. I don't know when. Some people get to live up to 70, 80, 90. I don't know how old am I going to live up to. So far in my observation, that my father's side, it seems like they all live long. Okay, so I'm not sure if I got that gene. Okay? Somehow on my mother's side, all the male, they die younger. So I don't know. Maybe you will balance out or something. My grandpa, on my father's side, my grandpa lived until 98. My father's older brother, he's 94, 95, still okay. Yeah, it's everybody is around 90, 90, 90, 90. Okay? But my mother's side, my uncles, my mother's sibling, the oldest one died at 50-some, the second one died at 50-some, the third one died at 48. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe it will balance out. Oh, even it balanced out, it didn't leave much for me. Yeah. But anyway, that's not important. Now, everybody died, all right? Everyone at certain second in this under the sun, that there is a moment, there's a second that you will pass on. And every second that passes, you are one step closer to that moment, to the moment that you die. You don't know how much time you have. But the thing is, under the sun, the concept of under the sun is not in discussion about when. It's about the inevitable fate. Inevitable. There's nothing you can do to retain even a second. You cannot even retain a second. Right? So for Solomon, this is dreadful. Why? Because he was so wise. He was so powerful. He get whatever he wants. He can afford anything. But the problem is he could never purchase 5 extra minutes of his life. You could be the most wealthy person on earth. You could be Bill Gates. You could be Elon Musk. You could be Jeff Bezos. Look at what happened to Steve Jobs. When time is up, he died. I think he died pretty young, right? Like 60? Is it? No, not even 60? 50 some? Yeah. So you know what? He has all the money, but with all the wealth that he had, that he could not ask the doctor. He could not tell the doctor, give me 5 more minutes. Couldn't. When the time is up, everything terminated. So for Solomon, he said then you know, what is the point of all this? That's why he feels so powerless. He feels so powerless facing death. Facing death. Because there's nothing he could do to make a difference. So that's the 2 major problems, or the 2 major reasons that he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes. That there is no meaning on earth. Number 2, everybody died, like it or not. Okay, so that's the 2 major concepts. However, in the pattern of the book of Ecclesiastes, there is the 3rd one. There is the 3rd one that overturned everything from chapter 1 to chapter 12. At the end of chapter 12, that Solomon reached a conclusion of all that he said. After talking about how meaningless life is, after talking about facing death, that everything is so in vain. Now, at the end of chapter 12, the very, very end, then he said, this is what happened when you don't have God in your life. This is the remorse of King Solomon. The regret that he said that, young man, let me tell you that everything that you desire, I all got it. I tried it already. No, it doesn't satisfy your heart. And let me tell you one thing. Everything that you do, God will judge you. That's the conclusion that King Solomon left. Because he knew in this age, at this moment, the greatest challenge in life is now at the old age and ready to die, about to die. He need to face the judgment. He need to face God, but he didn't have answer. He need to face God. He didn't know how to. He need to face God. He got nothing to show, no value to present in front of the Lord. That's where the problem is. So that's why at the conclusion, King Solomon said, let me tell you, young man, everything that you do in your life, God will judge you accordingly. So, if you want to find meaning, within the temporal and short life limitation, okay, within the time that under the sun, if you want to find a way to be above the sun, right? This is what we need to do. From under the sun, you need to find a solution that gets you above. From temporary to find the solution to become permanent. Okay? from limited in value to find everlasting price. That's what Solomon was telling you. And he tell you, how do you find meaning? How do you go above the sun? From temporary to become permanent, eternal. He said, young man, you must worship God and fear God. That's the conclusion. You know what? The conclusion was very short. But at the same time, he wrote it with tear. Because again, you cannot start over again. This is the problem. This is a problem that throughout the generation, that we tell the younger generation, please don't. And you say, no problem, what's a big deal? Until one day that you tell your younger generation, don't learn from me. Don't make the same mistake. You know, this happened always. From one generation to the next generation. Our previous generation warned us, and many of us did not take hint. We think, come on, you nag too much. Come on, it's okay, it's not such a big deal. Yeah, until it was too late, and then we become the one telling the younger generation, come on, you know what, learn from our mistake. Learn from my mistake. Don't repeat. Do not allow yourself to live in regret. Do not live in remorse. But you know what? The thing is, some people learn. Some people learn from others' mistake. And they do not repeat the same mistake. Some people just ignore the warning. And then they just have to do it themselves. And then they live they live in tear and regret. No, so that's how it is. Okay, so that's the pattern. Toward the end, it does tell you, Solomon at the very end does tell you that you have to remember God is watching you. You have to remember there is a judgment day. You have to remember at the end, we all need to answer to God. And Solomon was unable to. That's where the problem. That's why he wrote the book of Ecclesiastes and saying to you, please do not repeat my mistake. Okay? So that's the pattern. Now let's go back to, go to chapter 1. Let's go to chapter 1. In Ecclesiastes chapter 1, basically Solomon began in chapter 1. He was saying, everything is boring. Okay? Solomon began by telling you that in chapter 1, the whole concept is so bored. You know, you are in college already, so I don't know if you still do that. When kids in high school or junior high, that they always say, I'm so bored. Okay? So I'm not sure if you still do that. I'm very far away from your generation, your age. Okay? But apparently that in this generation, in your generation, feeling burdened, so bored, is quite common. It's quite common. So yeah, you are just like Solomon. Okay? Solomon says, so bored. Everything's so boring. Okay? But why? Why is everything so boring? Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, it says in verse 4, generation come, generation go. Okay? What it says, one generation pass away and another generation comes. Okay? So, number one, why is everything so bored for Solomon? In his observation, okay, the first problem is that one generation come, they might create a glamorous history. Then, like it or not, it disappeared. Especially in time of Solomon, when he was young, the kingdom prospered. He was extremely wealthy. Horsemen, they have he made the gold shield. That for the guards. For the guards of the temple, that they came out carry the shield of gold. Shield of gold. You know that shield of gold is useless, right? Because gold, in terms of the material, is way too soft. Way too soft. So it's nothing but a show off. That thing has no defensive strength. Yeah, because gold is very, very, very soft. And with a very strong elasticity. When I was in elementary school, I still remember in Taiwan, my chemistry teacher. If you look at him, he's like one of those in the cartoon, like those crazy scientists, like no hair, big belly, and always like extremely energetic, like a little bit too much, like always hyper. Still remember, there was once that he was telling us, learning about elasticity of different mineral, of different material. And then he was like telling us all this and that, and take out the sample from the material that school prepared. But out of all the material, he was talking about gold with extremely good elasticity. And of course, the school did not prepare gold for him to try, right? You know what he did? He actually took out his wedding ring, his gold ring, wedding ring, and he hammered it. He actually I think he was just like over himself. He was just like so hyper, like so high. And then he just look at this. And then he took it and he took the hammer and he quang, quang, quang. There was a dead silence in the class. Like, we're like, are you crazy? And then because we are all dead silent, so he was like, oh, hyper, right? Look, how long it extend. We're like, you are so dead. Why? His wife is also a school teacher. His wife teach music in school. And so, you know what did we do? As a good child, we report to his wife right away after the class. After the class, when he was looking at his hammered wedding ring, we all rushed out of the room. Said, let's go tell his wife. Yeah. And then they divorced. Yeah. I mean, seriously, they divorced. They did not divorce right away. At least until the time I graduate, they haven't yet divorced. Okay, so it's not the ring. At least it's not because of us. That's how I convince myself. Yeah, but anyway, so you know what the problem? The problem is that in the time of King Solomon, lavish, prosperity. But then he said, generation come and generation go. For him, so what? My generation will pass. My kingdom will disappear. And my name will not be remembered. Why did he say that? By looking into the history that happened over and over and over. The greatest, in human history, there are a lot of great kings, great emperors. In China, the first one that united China, Qin dynasty, right? Wow, the most powerful. But then, gone. Roman Empire, not even before Roman Empire, Alexander the Great, at age of 30-some, 20-some, he single-handedly built an empire crossing 3 continents. And then he died from malaria when he was invading India. Okay? And then immediately his powerful empire divided and split into 4 kingdoms. Roman Empire, the only empire in human history lasts more than 1,000 years. lasts more than 1,000 years. That's the only human empire. Roman Empire lasts more than 1,000 years. Where are they now? Everything, it comes and goes. So by learning from the history, by knowing about the human history, seeing the changing of dynasty, the changing of empire, seeing all the famous, world-renowned people, they come, they dominate a generation, they die. That's when he said, then what's the meaning of all this? Because today, I look at that generation. Tomorrow, I become that generation. As a pastor, we attend funeral very often. And quite often, when I stand in the front giving a message. Now, as a pastor, we give message, right? Quite often, we stand there and the coffin was there right behind us. And the deceased just lay flat in the coffin. And quite often, I just look at the coffin and say, today is you, tomorrow maybe it's me. Possible. If not tomorrow, one day you will be me. Someone else will be reading the eulogy for me, right? And it happened to every one of us. So when you look into the pattern of human history, then you realize that nothing lasts forever. Then what's the meaning of our effort today? Okay, so number one, why he feel that life is so meaningless, everything is so empty, because he knew he will be remembered today, but tomorrow people forgot about him. He will be like the bright star today, a bright sun today. Tomorrow is the sunset. That's the reality of life. Okay, so number one, begin by generation come, generation go. Like for us, standing here, looking at the NYTS students, that's how we feel too. Generation come, generation go. Like I saw you last year, I see you this year, I see you for 2 more years, then that's it. You are done with NYTS, you are on your own. Some of you join PNVP, most of you don't. You begin your new page of life, new chapter, you have a family. Some of you will remain in the church, some of you will not. Some of you will become very fervent, become the pillar of the church. Some just lukewarm. We sing it. Generation come, generation go. And we see how everyone, by making different choice in life, they land themselves in different height of their spirituality. Or shall we say different relationship with God. Generation come, generation go. Okay? So this is the first problem that King Solomon see. He said that, you know what, everything just repeats itself. One kingdom like, oh yeah, my father, King David, the best king, he died. My kingdom, kingdom of Solomon, the wealthiest king, I will die. And who knows what happened after that. Okay, so that's the first problem. And the second problem in verse 8. So everything repeat, all repetitive. Okay? And the second problem that in verse 8, he says that all things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, not the ear filled with hearing. Other than here, we found another word called labor. Labor. Labor is another key word in the book of Ecclesiastes. Basically, there are 3 key words. The first one is vanity, as we mentioned it before, 37 times. Second one is under the sun. It was mentioned 29 times. The third one is labor, hard work, hardship. That this word was mentioned 22 times in the book of Ecclesiastes. And because of these 3, it combined together, it make Solomon's life desperate. Okay? Oh, by the way, I guess I never mentioned the meaning of the word Ecclesiastes. Of course, the name was original in Hebrew, but since I never learned Hebrew, so I cannot pronounce it correctly. I don't know how to pronounce it. Some say I was reading that they are trying to help you to pronounce it. But anyway, yeah. So it was in Hebrew, and it was translated in Septuagint into Greek, and then the translation, the word is Ecclesiastes, that give the same meaning as in Hebrew. And the word Ecclesiastes means proclamation. Shall we say it means that gather everyone to make the announcement. You gather everyone and you share the words of wisdom. You announce, you preach. So you make a proclamation. So both in Hebrew and in Greek, that the name means the same as making a proclamation for the gathered congregation. You gather everyone and you make a proclamation. That's what they mean by Ecclesiastes. Okay, so in here we found in chapter 1, the second problem is cannot find satisfaction. Okay, you are unable to find satisfaction in things of life. You try, Solomon tried. In chapter 2, we will talk about how hard he tried. Solomon tried, and he tell you, so chapter 1 is more like the summary of 2 and 3 and 4. So he basically summarized that life is boring because we all die. This generation come, then my generation come, my generation pass, next generation comes. That's in chapter 3. Everything die. In chapter 2, he talk about that I want to try to find satisfaction in life. So in here, chapter 1 is more like giving you a summary of what happened in chapter 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So in so in the second part, why life is so bored? Why everything is so boring? Because you cannot find satisfaction. Nothing can really fill your heart. I think that if you attend, when there's a spiritual convocation and you attend evangelical service, it is one of the common topic to talk about why life, nothing on earth can really fill the void of your heart. Okay? That was a very common topic. And then that's when we tell the true seeker, that's why you need God. Only God can fix the problem. Only God can fill the void in your heart. Okay? So that was, the message was meant for true seeker. But you, as the believer of Jesus, as the follower of Jesus, that if you still feel that life is so empty, you are unable to find satisfaction, perhaps that's because you have not yet touched God. And if that's the case, then it should be your goal in here. It should be your goal in this NYTS, that through prayer, may the Spirit of the Lord fill me so that I don't feel lacking, that I do not feel that void, that emptiness in heart. Okay? So the people in the world, because of this, because that they are unable to find satisfaction, so they try. People in the world try many different ways to satisfy themselves. Sometimes it's through, some people through living in a lavish life. Some people through stimulation, not driving recklessly, on the highway and trying to get themselves killed or try to get other people killed. So you also people, what do you adrenaline? Like when you step on the gas, wow, and then you're like, ooh, I'm going to die. Yeah, some people are like that. You find reckless driver, as their life worth nothing. Why? Because maybe they feel that their life worth nothing. Maybe that's how they feel. They could not find anything in their life. How fast do you guys drive? No, sorry. You don't drive, right? You do? You're able to drive? Okay. When I first got married, I was driving from California to Texas. It's about like 20-some hours. And my newlywed wife kindly, nicely, sweetly said, I can help. I was like, okay, so sweet. So you know what, that's about like 1:30, 2 o'clock at night, midnight. So we are crossing New Mexico. We start the journey late to avoid traffic. So I was just like, you drive, I'll take a nap. Yeah. And then as I was like napping, I can hear shoo, 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 shoo. Like you can hear like the wind. I was like, the wind is so strong. And then I start feel the car is vibrating. I was like, wait, this is an SUV. Yeah. Heavy duty, big car. SUV filled with like, because we were moving to Texas. So I was like, this thing, we have like furniture, like things, like the car is heavy. I can feel the car is vibrating. And I just like took a quick look. I was like looking at her at the panel, like how fast you drive. Yeah, she was running like 107. Yeah, that totally woke me up. I was like, what are you doing, woman? Yeah, it's no longer bonged on my flash on my, now it's woman. Yeah, she was driving like 105, 107. And I was just like, what are you doing? And then she's like, no, we always drive like this in Australia. She's from Australia. And I was like, what? It took me a few seconds to realize. I was like, but in Australia, you're going by kilometer, okay? In here, we're going by miles. Yeah. They usually drive over 100 kilometers in Australia, which is equivalent to like what, 60 miles? Yeah, I was like, woman trying to get me killed. Yeah, but reckless, unintentionally though. Yeah, but anyway, that if you always need to find stimulation in your life, if you always feel that there's no meaning, life is so bored, maybe because you haven't yet touched God. If that's the case, maybe that shall be your goal in this NYTS. Let's all pray in silence.